From listener-supported KTOO, welcome to Juneau Afternoon, broadcasting live from the homelands of the Occoquan and on demand as a podcast. It's Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. I'm your host, Boston Christopher. Chish, Hawa, Tuksgnusam, Salamat. Thank you for joining the conversation. You may also join us on our live stream on KTOO's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Today, Cancer Connection celebrates National Cancer Survivors Day this Sunday, June 14th. The National Mountain Rescue Association is in Juneau this weekend, co-hosted by the Juneau Mountain Rescue. That's the national conference, everybody, right here in Juneau. And the SeaCoast Marathon Relay is happening this Saturday, June 13th, and costumes are encouraged. We'll find out all about that. We'll preview all these events this hour on Juneau Afternoon. But first, this week's Tlingit word of the week.
You're listening to KTOO's Tlingit Word of the Week. This week's word comes from Kehinach John Martin, and the word this week is Shaw.
Shaw.
That means mountain, and here is a sentence.
Hunach atsiti yasingetia uchja new city yashang.
It's really something. For the Tlingit, the mountains are a wind fortress. Let's hear it again.
Shaw.
Mountain. Gunas Chish to Juneau Lance Twitchell, Goldbelt Heritage Foundation, and the University of Alaska Southeast for this audio.
Kehinuk John Martin was Takdain Tan and a child of a Kagwan Tan man. He is from the Hunakawu, the people of Huna, and was a contributing elder and speaker at many language immersion gatherings in Glacier Bay, Yakutat, and Juneau. He attended boarding school in Shkakwe and attended Gonzaga University.
And tune in next week for another Tlingit Word of the Week from KTOO.
Support from Hanson Gress, seeking curious people who like technology, network engineering, and customer support. Opportunities for those who thrive on problem solving. Details at hansongress.com/careers.
Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Emil Mackey at Country Financial, offering insurance for home, auto, and business, and life insurance to protect your family in case of death. Located in the Juneau Nugget Mall. More information can be found online or by calling 907-500-7017. You are listening to community-supported Juneau Afternoon on KTOO at 104.3 Juneau, 91.7 Juneau Ock Bay, and online at ktoo.org. You can also join us on our live stream on KTOO's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Cheryl Weinberg and Molly McCormick join me now in Studio 2K, dedicated to Carolyn Hobbs-Peterson. They are both board members with Cancer Connection here in Juneau. And this Sunday, June 14th at 11 a.m., they will have the local celebration of National Cancer Survivors Day. Gwyneth Cheese, Shatyedi, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you both in the studio today. Wasiyati Molly, how are you?
Great. Thanks, Boston.
Of course. And Cheryl, welcome back. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you.
Yes, so National Cancer Survivors Day, there's a website you can go to, ncsd.org. That stands for National Cancer Survivors Day. It's usually the first Sunday in June, but usually you all celebrate it one of the Sundays around that same time. And you're going to be doing it this Sunday. And you've been doing it for a while, right? This celebration.
We've been doing it for a while, in a variety of forms.
Mm-hmm.
When I first became aware of it was when I was diagnosed with cancer, and at that time the format was a luncheon and a silent auction. It was indoors at the Jack, and it was very nice. We decided, though, because it was June's supposed to be nice, to take it outside and have a walk. And so we've had that format for many years now. And it seems like people really enjoy that, to be able to be up and moving. And you're right, we don't always celebrate when the rest of the country does. This year we didn't because of celebration. We
Sure.
didn't want to compete. But June is the month, and we look forward to it every year.
So this year, 11 a.m. this Sunday, June 14th, you're going to meet at the Sealaska Plaza.
We are, and that's new.
And that's new. Okay. And then you're going to walk to Overstreet Park, the Whale.
Correct.
And then there'll be like a celebration at the Whale, right? Okay. What are you going to be doing down at the Whale? You got music and food and all that kind of good stuff?
So sure, the City of Juneau Pipe Band, those are the bagpipes and drums.
Ooh.
They're going to lead us on the boardwalk into the Whale Park. And so that's a lot of fun. And then Fran Houston is going to speak and give our land acknowledgement. And Nancy Barnes and the Yes Ku'u dancers are going to dance. They've been together 23 years dancing.
Wow.
And they're a multicultural dance group of Southeast tribes. And then the Coast Guard is going to make salmon and bean burgers. And their Chief Petty Officers Association of Juneau, Sector Southeast Alaska.
Wow. Salmon and bean burgers. I don't think I've ever had that before.
Costco.
It's salmon or bean burgers.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not. We have two choices.
okay. So meat or no meat.
Correct.
I was like, a salmon and bean burger. That sounds kind of interesting. Do those two things go together? But I get it now. I get it. That
Maybe
makes-
we'll have somebody do a double burger and
Yeah.
let you know how that tastes together.
Yeah, they're like, give me a double burger. Why not? It's a Sunday. That's really cool. And so it's all to sort of celebrate cancer survivorship. And I want to just mention this too, because both of the websites, cancerconnectionak.org as well as ncsd.org, they both have resources pages, which are really great. So like on the cancerconnectionak.org, it's a tab called the resources. It's right there on the home page. And you can see a bunch of different resources, all the things that you all do, which we're going to talk a little bit about. And then at the ncsd.org page, they have a survivorship page that there's a link at the top of the page there. And that also has tons of really interesting resources and facts. And I just wanted to mention this. I thought this was fascinating. So in 2025, new cancer cases in the U.S. were projected to top 2 million, excluding non-melanoma skin cancers. That's almost 5,600 cancer diagnoses a day. And then they said this is the 38th annual observance of National Cancer Survivors Day, and highlighting the resilience and strength of over 18 million cancer survivors in the U.S. and more than 53.5 million worldwide. That's amazing.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's really fascinating. And you both are board members, but you're also both cancer survivors. Is that what
Yes.
is that what made you, Cheryl, want to get involved with Cancer Connection? Is when you were going through this yourself?
Exactly. As I said earlier, 13 years ago, I had a cancer diagnosis, and I don't know anyone who just takes that lightly. You know, it was terrifying, and fortunately, Cancer Connection was there, and I turned there for moral support and resources, and felt very fortunate to have a local organization that was available and could help me out. So when I retired, I knew I'd be on one board, and I approached the board about joining, and they said yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely, because of the help that I received, I wanted to give back, and it's a great board to be on, and I think we continue the good work.
And Molly, you also had a cancer diagnosis. Is that when you found Cancer Connection, or have you been? Because I know there's a couple of people on the board who've been on it forever who hadn't had cancer. But what about you, Molly?
So my swim team coach, Mike Miller, started Cancer Connection in the 90s. And so that's how long I knew about it. But when I was diagnosed, I came to support group, got help with travel, and got invited to join in. And this is like Cheryl, I'm retired, and this is the one volunteer group that I want to be involved in. It's a really good working board, and it's a lot of fun.
And we joined at the same time.
Oh, you did?
We were a cohort.
Oh, that's so cool. And we should mention that you now also have a friend of our show, a friend of KTOO who was at the Juneau Community Foundation, Christy Chombor, has taken the role as executive director. Is this your first paid position at the Cancer Connection?
It's not our first paid position, but
Okay.
she's our first ever executive director. We've
Okay.
we've had a series of office managers. All of their names have started with a J.
Jean, currently, right?
Jean currently, but Jean is retiring. I've got to
Oh,
say, next Monday will be her last day.
Oh,
so,
Jean,
so we
shout
wish
out
her,
Jean.
yeah, we wish her very well. And so we've had office managers, but we really felt that we needed the leadership of an executive director. Now that there are so many more cancer services here in town, people come. We're a real hub.
Yeah.
Not only Anchorage and Seattle are hubs, but Juneau's a hub. And so the demand for increased programming and support is there, and innovation. And so we made the decision to make the leap.
You couldn't pick a better person.
That is what we know to be true and what everybody says. So we are so delighted that Christy is on board.
Yeah, congratulations. We'll
Thank
have
you.
to have her on sometime soon and chat about her new role there.
Cool.
And so, Molly, Cheryl mentioned a little bit about some of the things that Cancer Connection does help with travel. Obviously, we live in a remote location, and we've had Cancer Connection on the show in the past, but I do want to remind people about those services that are available, not just for those who are going through a diagnosis, but those who are supporting those going through a diagnosis. But you have different programs in place, such as like the travel assistance, the apartment down in Seattle, because a lot of people end up at Cancer Care Center in Seattle and things like that. Tell me a little bit about some of the services that you offer and or that you personally, were able to use.
So I would join the support group, which meets once a month, the third Tuesday of the month at 6:30, and we have it Zoom form or in person. And I use counseling service. You got some refund there, and then travel. I did not use the Seattle apartment. I hear it's really nice. I hear it's very nice. And I feel like our new location at Southeast Radiation, we're kind of centrally located, and we do have materials, and between everybody there's a lot of knowledge and working with different.
And what about you, Cheryl, in terms of some of the services that you used or that the Cancer Connection offers that you want to let people know about?
Well, early on, I used the travel resources as well, and the support group, and then additionally, we have events, and I find that the community health forum that we offer in November is especially informative. I would look forward to it. I'd put it on my calendar or look for it for my calendar every fall, because that's an education opportunity related to prevention, and there are also vendors there that are health related that you can connect with and just know who they are and what they do in the event that you need them or somebody who you love needs them. And then the other thing that is a new service that I didn't take advantage of because it really was kind of dormant, but we've revived it, is our Let's Talk program. And that's a one-to-one peer mentoring program. So we provide training for volunteers, and then those volunteers are available when somebody calls or comes in and says, I just got diagnosed with endometrial cancer, and I have no idea what that means. I don't know what that means for my life. I don't understand the language. I need somebody to talk to who's walked in those shoes, and so we can match them. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I can't imagine, like, if you when you're at the doctor and you get a diagnosis, I mean, the first thing people do is probably freak out, right? And then figure out, okay, well, what are the next steps, right? Because you listen to your doctors, you have appointments, you do all that, but then having other people who've gone through it, peers, resources, knowledge about things that maybe you don't get from the doctor's office, It's sort of like when, there's a new mother or a new dad and there's like, oh, there's all those things that you didn't tell us about having a baby. Same thing with cancer. I'm sure there's things that you go through as a survivor or somebody who's going through it that you don't hear about.
Right, because it's not so much the medical piece of it that you get great medical advice, hopefully, from your doctors and patient navigators, but the things that keep you up at night or the interpretation of what that really means in terms of your life or it's just more of that interpersonal piece of it. And so we are excited to revive that program and have that available to people.
Yeah.
So because there are so many aspects to cancer, besides the medical. And I know for myself, when I was diagnosed, and I have a great doctor who I continue to see annually, but she started talking, and then it became just like blah, 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 blah,
like
blah.
Like Peanuts' parents.
Well, it was blah, 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 because it was just like, in my head, I what? You're going to do what?
Right.
And then, I couldn't really listen. I think I probably asked her the same question 25 times because it was like, she'd start saying the answer and then something else would come in. So it's, it's a deal when you go through cancer treatment, and as a survivor, it's always part of your life. Even though it's in the rearview mirror in terms of perhaps, you're not in current treatment status, but it impacts you forever.
You're listening to Juneau Afternoon. We're talking about the National Cancer Survivor Day celebration, which is happening this Sunday, June 14th at 11 a.m. People are going to gather at the Sealaska Heritage Arts Plaza, walk down to the Whale for some music, fun, and food. And this is a day for everyone, not just people who've survived cancer, but family, friends, people who are interested in knowing more, people who want to celebrate those who've survived cancer, maybe a remembrance for a loved one who didn't make it, right? Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. We always have that piece of it, and I think that's especially meaningful for folks. One of our board members, Eileen Hosey, who's lovely, brings paper hearts, and people usually come over and they put the name of someone who they've lost recently or, at some point in their life, and they wear that. And, it's a time, people see the name. It can be a conversation starter. Oh, I knew that person too. But it's for everyone. It's if you've lost somebody, it's current caregivers. That's another thing that we've added is that we had a caregiver retreat for the first time this year that was very well received, and we hope to do additional follow-up activities for caregivers. They're unsung heroes a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely they are. I can't even imagine. This is a wonderful celebration. Obviously, there's going to be salmon burgers, bean burgers, music, and a celebration for those who have survived or for those that we're remembering, right? I mean, that's just it's a wonderful day. Have you already previewed the weather? I mean, it's been pretty nice the last couple of days. Hopefully on Sunday you get the good weather.
Yeah, we think so.
With the bagpipes and all the things going to be playing out there.
But we'll be there regardless, and people will be, I think, joyfully celebrating. Last year it was wicked cold. You look at us, you look at pictures from last year, and it looks like it was November. We have hats and gloves and coats, and
it was
Juneau. Raining. That was Juneau, but it was still a good time. But this year it's looking promising.
Fantastic. Molly McCormick, Cheryl Weinberg, thank you so much for coming in today and telling us about it. It's the National Cancer Survivors Day celebration with the local Cancer Connection this Sunday, June 14th, 11 a.m. You can find out more at cancerconnectionak.org, which is the local site for Cancer Connection here in Juneau. You can learn all about their resources and their new executive director, Christy Chambor, or go to ncsd.org to learn about the national site and all the things that were taking place. And they have a great survivorship page and just more information there available. Gwyneth Cheese for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Gwyneth Cheese.
Yeah, this is Juneau Afternoon on KTOO. Here's a little star party.
Let's have a star party. This is Steve Kosas with the Marie Drake Planetarium. I'm going to talk about the Big Bang. It was an event that happened 13.8 billion years ago when everything that there is now, all the cities and all the countries and the planet and all the other planets and all the stars in the galaxies and all the galaxies in the universe were all shrunk into a point of infinitesimal volume, but incredible density and incredibly high temperatures. And this pinhead of volume that held everything that there now is then started expanding. There was a momentary increase or inflation of the expansion, and this expansion is now continuing. And the current diameter of the universe is 90 billion light years in diameter. A light year is a measurement of distance. It's about 6 trillion miles. So how can the universe be 90 billion light years in diameter if it's only 13.8 billion years old? Well, the reason for that is because the space itself has been expanding since the origin of the universe, and that expansion is now accelerating due to a force called dark energy, which seems to be, in a sense, anti-gravity that's causing space itself to expand faster than the speed of light. And that's allowed because space itself does not contain mass. Only mass is restricted to the speed of light. This is Steve Kosas with the Marie Drake Planetarium. Our public shows are on our website at mariedrakeplanetarium.org. Thank you.
Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Heritage Coffee Roasting Company, providing Juneau with locally roasted coffee for over 40 years, with cafes and drive-through locations throughout Juneau. More at heritagecoffee.com. This is Juneau Afternoon from your listener-supported public media station, KTOO. I'm your host, Boston Christopher. Juneau Mountain Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer search and rescue team operating here in Juneau, Alaska. And starting tomorrow, they are co-hosting the National Mountain Rescue Association Conference. That's a big deal. That's pretty cool. And I've got a bunch of the team members here in the studio. I'm joined now by Jackie Ebert, Gunathchish Wasiti. How are you today, Jackie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. We have Heather Beat. Welcome in, Heather.
Thank you.
And I also have Lila Hobbs. Welcome
Hi.
in.
Thank you. Welcome.
Gunathchish for you all being here today. So let's first start with, okay, I'll mention that later. But let's first start with you, Jackie, and talk a little bit about Juneau Mountain Rescue. Okay. And I sort of teased what you are in the intro there. But tell me a little bit more about this nonprofit volunteer search and rescue team.
Yeah. So we are all volunteer, 100% unpaid, so nonprofit. We started in the 1980s, maybe even a little bit informally before that. And then we've been certified with the Mountain Rescue Association, which is the organization for which we're hosting the conference, since about like 1990, maybe a little bit before that.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And also shout out Oliver, who's in here with us as well today. Hi, Oliver. How are you today, buddy? Good. And so that's really interesting because it's a volunteer search and rescue team. So how does it work? Do you work with other organizations that are in town, like the Coast Guard and things like that, or how does it work?
Yeah. So we operate under like essentially the authority of the Alaska State Troopers, and so they based on the nature of the call, they'll request us to run a search or to, be part of a search. They provide coverage for us as far as like workers' compensation if we were to get hurt in the field, which is really important so that, that keeps our members safe.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we operate under kind of their authority, but we also work very closely with a lot of different agencies. So the Coast Guard, the local search team, dog team, Sea Dogs. Yep. We will deploy with CCFR, the National Guard. So there's a lot of different entities. And we also will deploy throughout all of Southeast or like throughout the entire state if we need to. But
that's amazing. Okay, so Lila, how do you get involved in this with this crazy crew? How do you get involved?
That's a great question. So Heather and I represent Alaska Mountain Rescue Group. We're co-hosts with JMR for this conference, and AMRG's process for getting involved. You submit an application, and then you go through a basic training. And so you go through about 8 weeks of basic training, meeting each week, getting really specific knowledge on search theory, on different tactics for search and rescue. And once you go through the basic training, you become a prospective member, and eventually you check all your boxes, and you become an operational full team member with the jacket. And everything.
I see these official logos and jackets and stuff like that. So you both are down from Anchorage, right? Because Alaska Mountain Rescue is the co-host for this conference. So why did you want to do it, though, Lila?
Yeah, I think a lot of us come to search and rescue because we've had a near miss. We've been a part of a group maybe where there was an accident. That's how I came into search and rescue. Me and my friend were out trail running and got into an accident, and I felt really hopeless in that situation with my friend being injured and just not having the kind of training that I wanted to have in that instance. And that whole experience made me want to be more prepared, and so that was a decade and a half ago. And after that happened, I got interested in becoming a wilderness first responder. It's specialized training for being a rescuer in a backcountry setting. And from that, I learned about search and rescue, and I guess the rest is history. But I think a lot of us come to it from kind of a close call.
And what about you, Heather? What's your story?
So I came to it in a little bit different of an avenue. I had work training that was first aid, and then I also had incident command training through work. And so I had all of this experience that, when I left that line of work, I didn't really know what to do with anymore. And so I started to look around at, how can I take this skill set and help people? And kind of this search and rescue organization came into the picture, and I thought it was really interesting. And it just was a good opportunity to be able to support my community and continue to help people.
That's really cool. And Jackie, what is your title? What is your title?
I was the board president for 6 years, and now I'm just a normal board member, which is nice. And I'm also the chief of the operations committee.
Okay.
So overseeing all of our mission operations.
I see. So let's talk about this conference that's happening. This is really cool. So how did this happen? Getting the national conference to come to Juneau. Were you the spearhead here?
I was. So we had a conversation about this. Started, I would say, at least 3 if not 4 years ago. I brought it to our board. We wanted to co-host, and so we started a planning committee probably at least 3 years ago. Pitched the MRA. They were supportive of it was almost an ask. Everyone wanted us, Alaska somewhere to host. And so we kind of pitched it and then talked to AMRG and said, hey, if you guys are okay, let's do the thing. Let's look at some costs and see where throughout the state it would make most sense to host. Mm-hmm. And then we came up with the idea of using the UAS, University of Alaska Southeast campus.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we're hosting at the recreation center there.
Oh, nice.
And we've essentially just taken over the whole building for 3 days.
That's so cool. Yeah, and you can go to the MRA Conference 2026.org.
Yep.
And you can see all the information here. It's the Mountain Rescue Association, MRA Conference 2026.org. And that's where you can find everything that's going to be happening over the next couple days. And one thing I just want to point out, in your registration packet, I was looking through this thing. Yeah. And, it's intense. And there's an org chart in there for all of the people who are working on this conference. And I've never seen that before. And I thought every conference needs to have an org chart because it says,
cool?
Here's the person, here's what they're doing, so you know who to go to talk to about stuff, which I thought was really, really cool. So who is this conference for? Who should be coming to this?
Anyone kind of involved and interested in search and rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Even folks that are more like medically driven or want to get into it. It's really just a great networking opportunity, great opportunity to, build skills that you might already have, learn new industry lessons. We've got like a few different panel talks where you've had like 5 or 6 people that are at the top of their field, and they discuss just go round table and answer questions and have different topics and themes built in there. But so we've got anything from like search management to avalanche tracks. We've got a lot of like SUAS, so like drone operations and demos going on throughout the week.
How many people are you anticipating coming to Juneau for this?
Yeah, we have about 250 that have traveled, and that probably excludes both of our teams.
Yeah.
So.
It's a big deal. I mean, it's not every day that AMRG gets to partner with JMR, and so this was such an incredible opportunity to bring our teams together. Yeah. We're training, we're learning from each other, but then on top of that, we're at this national conference in which people from all over the country and even international folks are coming here to Juneau to train and learn from each other. So it's a really big deal. It's a big honor for both of our teams to be a part of this and to host this. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I feel like even if you have an interest in it, because like you said, Lila, you came to it because you had an accident when you were out on the trail or whatnot. And so people having some basic training even in terms of what to do, what to contact, maybe resources, things you would want to take with you if you do go out in the woods or in terms of remote locations here, because I'm imagining that there's calls of all sorts that come through. I don't know how many calls you get on an annual basis. Do you know how many calls you get, Jackie?
Yeah, we average between like 25 and 40.
Yeah. And is it mostly people who've either had an accident or who become a little lost? They haven't filed their plan to go out into the mountains and stuff like that?
It's honestly a mix of all of those things. Yep. Sometimes it's just they're overdue. Sometimes we know where they are. We can get their location. They just got lost.
Right.
Same thing, like sometimes they had an accident and they need help and they're hurt.
Yeah.
But we also respond to like the unfortunate plane crash or things like that as well. So it's for us it's all across the board.
And we get called into circumstances where say like a fire department isn't going to utilize their resources, like with someone who might have passed, and so there are a lot of hard missions that we end up going on just because other entities aren't going to use their resources to do that. So it can sometimes be a big job, especially for volunteers.
How much range do you all cover up there in Anchorage? Are you covering a wide area up there?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We cover Anchorage, but we take on missions in the Valley, Hatcher Pass, and Girdwood, and Turnagain Pass. And we also respond to missions across the state, too. We have folks that have specialty areas that get called on missions all across the state. So we fly all over.
That's cool. And Heather, if there's some advice maybe for folks who are wanting to go out and do a little adventuring. I mean, I always think of it as like my grandfather was a plane flyer. So I was always thinking of it as like you file a flight plan. Like you should let people know you're going, right? Especially if you're going somewhere remote. Are there other tips and tricks that you can offer folks who might be getting out there this summer?
Always be prepared is my inner scout saying.
Bring water. Bring water.
Bring water. Snacks are always good, not just for survival, but also for morale.
Yeah.
And extra layers. You know, we live in Alaska, so weather can change pretty rapidly. Yeah,
I remember
but most importantly, always tell someone where you're going.
Tell someone where you're going. I remember when my daughter came here for the first time. She was like 12 maybe or something, and I was like, let's go hike Mount Roberts. And I asked a coworker at the time, I was like, how long does that take? And this person was like a runner person and very fit and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, like, 30 minutes or so. Well, so I'm thinking like, we don't need water. We're going to go to the top of the mountain. We'll have some lunch when we get up to the top, right? Well, my daughter's, it was not 30 minutes. I was like, wow, we really needed water and we needed a snack, and we did tell people we were doing it. But I mean, that's just a simple thing, Mount Roberts. It's got, stairs they built into it even. But it is interesting to think about so many people get out but maybe aren't thinking ahead to what could happen, right? What could happen. And so it's really cool that this national conference is going on. It's going to be for the next 3 days. Is that right?
Yeah, it goes through Saturday night, and then we, as the MRA, have a membership business meeting Sunday morning, and then everyone's kind of like off to do their own things after that.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. And again, people can find out more at mraconference2026.org to see this specific conference. Yeah. For both of your organizations, how do people find out more? Like if I want to volunteer, what do I do? How do I get involved?
Yeah, we just go to our website, juneaumountainrescue.org, and we've got different tabs that kind of show like what your interests are, and if you're looking to be a member, go to the membership tab, and
I love that.
Yep, shoot us an email.
And what about you all?
Yeah, go to www.amrg.org. Or you can find us on social media, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, send us a message. But our website has comprehensive information about how to become a volunteer and how to get to know us.
I love that. That's so cool. This is really cool to have the national conference right here in Juneau. Another win for the feather cap of Juneau, right? That's really kind of cool.
And we got to give a shout out. There's a bunch of Canadians coming too.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Our Canadian brothers and sisters are also going to be here. That's really cool. Heather Beat, Lila Hobbs, and Jackie Ebert, and Oliver, thank you all so much for coming on the show today. Gwyneth Cheech, have a fantastic conference.
Thank you so much.
This is Juneau Afternoon on KTOO. Let's take a listen to this week's Our Living Lands from Native Voice One.
This is Our Living Lands, and I'm Jill Freitas. Traditional foods can be used in non-traditional ways. Tawaya Andrew Williams is a Namipu environmental scientist and a student at Washington State University. Our Living Lands producer Daniel Spalding spoke to Andrew Williams about incorporating traditional foods into modern dishes, food sovereignty, and more.
Could you explain a little bit about the Namipu Food Sovereignty Initiative and your research?
So my research project, right, is the food sovereignty. It's an initiative, right? Like I really have been on this like food sovereignty journeys for like 5-6 years, being in school and then in my post-bac program with BioRise, where I'm able to like collaborate with Northwest Indian College, WSU, the Nez Perce tribe, right? All of these different departments in order to start this community garden, right? But also with the community garden, I want to develop curriculum that goes along with our seasonal rounds.
Your project blends indigenous knowledge with Western gardening practices. What does it look like to balance traditional teachings with modern agricultural methods in a way that still reflects Namipu cultural values?
So definitely digging, gardening shares that same relationship with land, right? We got to put nutrients back in the soil in order to get fruitful traditional foods, but also a fruitful garden. And so just intertwining that traditional knowledge and then this Western knowledge has been so like validating, I guess, as a Native person, because, right, we already know this. We already know, we understand our connection to land, but we just just never understood like the connection to science. It gets me so excited because I'm so passionate about intertwining and helping people understand like, hey, we already know this. I feel like I was already taught that as a young girl, right? When we were first digging roots and using a tuchus and not a shovel, right? And like the tuchus just does less damage to the root, less damage to the soil. And using those practices like definitely keeps you tied to those traditional teachings.
And just for context for our listeners, a tuchus is the Nez Perce word for a digging tool that our diggers use for roots. Traditional foods, have always adapted over time. How are you seeing Nimipu foods being incorporated into more modern dishes or cooking styles while still honoring the cultural roots of those foods?
So there are practices and protocols, right? When you go dig traditional foods like fishing, hunting, and gathering, all have different protocols. And it kind of depends varying on family. I know for my family, we definitely honor like our first digs, our first salmons, our first hunt, big game, deer, elk, especially if it's their first kill ever. And then for me, putting those foods on your table at least once a week. I do tacos with elk meat, with bison, right? Salmon is staple in our household. But introducing those foods to them while they're young, right? And then just learning and be willing to make mistakes, be willing to, oh, maybe I don't like it, but I'll keep trying it again, but definitely trying the foods, right? Like the bison burger, elk burger, deer burger. We try to incorporate it into our everyday meals. I don't think I've bought beef in a long time just because we process so much of our own traditional foods that my dad hunts.
And I wanted to ask too about, are you seeing any changes in the season of the gathering due to like climate change? Are there shorter seasons? Are they coming out earlier than usual? Or just if you've noticed any changes due to climate change?
Yeah, with climate change, it's just the seasons are different. You just have to get out there and get to know your lands, get to know your homelands. I know in certain areas, like the cows gets ready before the kikit, and then over here, right, like the kikit gets ready before the cows. So it's different from mountain to mountain. I literally just got off the mountain this week, and I found so much cows, so much like just different areas to dig, different plants to forage, and I'm super excited for because I feel like every time I go out, I find myself understanding another plant.
Tune in next week for more stories about how climate change affects tribal communities. I'm Jill Freitas for Our Living Lands, a collaboration of Kiwanis Broadcast Corporation, Native Public Media, and the Mountain West News Bureau.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Tongass Federal Credit Union, a member-owned financial cooperative offering checking and savings accounts, loans, and digital financial services. In Juneau at 8585 Old Dairy Road in the K Plaza and at tongassfcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA. You are listening to Juneau Afternoon from Studio 2K right here at KTOO. I'm Boston Christopher. The SeaCoast Marathon Relay is happening this Saturday, June 13th. This is a 5-leg relay team race that starts at UAS and ends at the Eagle Beach picnic area. You can go to more information at southeastroadrunners.org, but I am joined now by Heather Parker right here in the studio to share more. Gunath Chish, Igudi, thank you so much for joining me today. Heather, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a full marathon, 26.2 miles.
That's right.
That is awesome. But it's if it's a 5-team relay, how much does each person run then?
So the legs range from 3.5 miles to our longest leg is 7.4 miles.
Okay.
But people are welcome to do multiple legs if they want, or they can do the whole thing if they want.
So I can be like, nah, I don't work well with other people. I'm just going to run
Do the whole thing.
myself.
That is an option.
That is an option. Okay, that's cool. But you can get some friends together and do this as a team, which is really kind of cool. So how did this come about, the SeaCoast Marathon Relay? How did this start?
So the SeaCoast Relay has been an annual event hosted by the Juneau Trail and Road Runners for many years.
Okay.
And like I remember during COVID, we had a team and we submitted our results virtually.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it was still an activity that people could do outside.
Right.
And then a few years ago, no one wanted to race direct it because it just takes a lot to race direct. And so my husband and I decided it's one of our favorite races in Juneau, and we didn't want it to go away. And so we brought it back a few years ago. And this year we decided we would extend it to a marathon distance. Previously, it was 21.7, which is a little short of a marathon.
Why was it like that? What makes it 21.7 as opposed to the extra few miles?
Well, we changed the race course a little bit.
Oh, the route. Okay.
Previously, the first leg was shorter.
I see.
And we extended the first leg. I personally really like marathons, and I like the idea of teams running a marathon together. I think it could be inspiring, or people could see if they did part of a marathon, maybe they'd be inspired to run the whole thing.
How many marathons have you run?
I've done 11.
11. What kind of training does it take to do a marathon?
It takes running a lot of miles for a couple months before a marathon, and it's a combination of kind of shorter runs and building up longer runs.
Because you have to build the stamina, right? I mean,
Right.
because on your normal weekly schedule, if you weren't running a marathon and you go out for a run, what are you running? A couple, 3 miles, 4 miles, something like that? Maybe more?
I usually do maybe 5 to 7 miles.
5 to 7, okay. That's like an hour or so of a run? Yeah. Okay. I don't know the timings of that, but I'm guessing, yeah. I don't run. But the idea that you have to then sort of build up the stamina, right? Because I'm sure, like, when you run a marathon, Heather, when you get there, like the midpoint, or when you get to where's your breaking point? Where does it come when you have to push through? Is it like mile 18, or do you just keep going?
I think sometimes mile 17 can be kind of tough.
Yeah.
Usually by mile 20, you're just kind of in the zone.
You get back
and
to the thing. You're like, I'm almost done.
it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but it's that pushing through, like that 3/4 point maybe, yeah? Where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So this one you could do as a team. You don't even have to get to that point if you don't want to.
That's right. You can do it as a team. A lot of people in Juneau do the Klondike
Oh,
relay in September, so this could be good practice of like testing out your team.
Right.
This is just a wonderful chance for people to get together and different groups of people to run together. At the end, we have a burrito bar and lots of snacks, and it ends in a beautiful place. There really aren't that many races in Juneau that are point to point. There's a lot of loop races or out and back races,
Yeah.
and so this is kind of unique in that it starts at the university and it ends at, I think, one of the prettiest places in Juneau, which is Eagle Beach Picnic Area. And we're encouraging people to wear costumes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I'm just curious, like, what kind of is there a theme for this year, or is it just?
There's no theme.
Okay.
Just if teams want to wear costumes, they're welcome to.
Oh, so like if they wanted to be the California Raisins or something, they could.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are totally welcome to be the California Raisins.
I don't know why that came to my mind, but it did. I guess you could also. What have you had costumes in the past?
Sometimes we've had costumes. I can't remember if we had too many costumes last year.
So is there, do I get extra prizes if I wear a costume?
We haven't quite decided that yet, but Nugget Alaska Outfitters is donating prizes. And also Heritage Coffee donated coffee. So if people want to be caffeinated before or after the race, they can have some coffee.
That's kind of fun. I guess you could also go as like, you know, I see you have bears on the front of your poster here. You could go as a little, especially if you are a family, you could have like different levels of bear, I guess, you know, that'd be kind of cute.
There's the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, a family running this would be kind of cute. You give the youngins the shorter ranges, and then are people able to then follow along with the runners, or is the course pretty? I guess what I'm trying to say is it's solo. Like, can I follow along in a car, or I wouldn't be able to do that per se? I could maybe go to the next checkpoint.
So cars can't just follow runners.
Yeah.
They can pull over at specified like pull-out points.
Okay.
Or checkpoints. So if there's a pullout along someone's race course, someone can, you know, like be along
and cheer them on
and
a little
cheer
bit.
them on.
Yeah.
But teammates aren't allowed to just drive slowly behind their runner or pull out in other places, only in specified pull-out points.
And are there points where people are there with water for the runners and things like that? I've seen that in various times.
This race is kind of unique in that every team has its own kind of support system. Like every team basically has its own car that's supporting folks. So we don't have aid stations along the race course at this point.
So people get their stuff with their team and they keep it in a car and they go to the next checkpoint, and that's where you would have, you know, aid, water, snacks, protein bars, whatever it is to get you through.
Yes.
I would imagine. And this is a paid race. It's $25, and you want people to register in advance, I would assume.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and so you know how many people are going to be there. The easiest link to go to is southeastroadrunners.org to get the information and go to the link for this particular thing. And I know that Roadrunners has like a scoreboard for the year. I'm assuming this counts for that?
Actually, this does not count for the nugget points for the Juneau Trail and Roadrunners. That has to do with us timing each individual leg. We don't time each individual leg. We time the whole team time. So it doesn't count for those points, but it's still a really good event. Burritos and good vibes.
Right, for sure. Vibes are the thing, especially on this Saturday, right, June 13th. 9 a.m. start time. What time do people need to get out there to get ready to go?
So it's 9 a.m. start time. For folks who have pre-registered, we're going to be kind of looking at the times that teammates have put in, and we may have a few folks start earlier at 8:30 so that everyone can get to Eagle Beach around the same time. So runners who have pre-registered will get an email in the next couple of days with their start time, and we recommend that people get there 15-20 minutes before that start time to start the first leg.
And the location, it says UAS campus, so where do people show up for you?
So it's the UAS campus. It's basically outside the library. It's next to the giant Raven.
Ah, okay. So the main parking lot for the UAS. Okay. That's kind of cool. And so who's making these burritos?
My husband and I, mostly my husband is making the beans, and we're getting all the supplies this week.
That's so cool. So there'll be a burrito bar, and costumes are encouraged. This sounds like a lot of fun.
We hope it's going to be really fun.
How's the weather looking?
The weather is not looking terrible.
Okay.
It's looking possibly cloudy and overcast. Knock on wood, hopefully not too much rain.
Right.
But that's really lovely running weather for Southeast.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too hot, too cold. You want it to be just right, as Goldilocks would say.
That's right.
How long does it take you, Heather, to run 26.2 miles?
It takes me between 4 hours and 4:30.
Wow. Okay. That's a long time. And no stopping?
no stopping. Or just for snacks.
Just for snacks. I love that. That's so cool. This is a wonderful event. SoutheastRoadrunners.org is the place to go. The SeaCoast Marathon Relay. I love that it's a relay and that it's back and that it's extended its thing to 26.2 miles, official marathon length, which is very cool. And that's the best place for people to go. Is there also like a Facebook page and stuff?
The Juneau Trail and Road Runners has a Facebook page. I think there's an event that has some information, but
Okay.
the website, SoutheastAlaskaRoadrunners.org, is probably the best place for people to go.
Okay, that's great. Oh, am I saying I want to make sure the website's right. Is it Southeast Roadrunners?
It's Southeast Roadrunners. I'm
No
sorry.
Alaska in there.
I said the wrong thing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that people get that. Awesome. Heather Parker, thank you so much. Gwyneth Cheese for being here today, telling us about the SeaCoast Marathon Relay. Get your team together, get signed up. Go to southeastroadrunners.org.
Thank you. Have a good
day.
day.
We're going to end the day with a little bit of Rain Dogs. This is their song called Settle Down.
My friends are getting far too old, forgetting how we made it this far, from dreaming about writing words to the wind. Years from now will pass and start to think, oh man, what if I made it big back then? Where would I be? So sell your car and all your clothes. There's nothing to lose but all those words you've written to the
That will do it for today's Juneau Afternoon. On tomorrow's show, Perseverance Theater previews its summer arts program and the upcoming season, including the first ever Tlingit Opera. Plus, we talk with the creators of the Seabank Report and the Seabank Chronicles all about the economic and cultural value of the Southeast Alaska ecosystem. Juneau Afternoon airs Wednesday through Friday at 3 p.m. right here on KTOO Juneau 104.3 and KAUK Juneau Auk Bay 91.7. You can find this show online at ktoo.org/Juneau Afternoon. I'm Boston Christopher, producer and host of the program, with help today from Lisa Purvis. Gwyneth Cheese.